Number one, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There are currently no plans to review the operation of the Barnett formula. The Barnett formula has stood the test of time because it is simple, efficient and provides a clear and certain outcome. It is a key part of the arrangements for pooling and sharing risks and resources across the United Kingdom.
Mr. Logan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We know that if the government today passes its disgraceful, discriminatory and some say illegal cuts to disability support, this will almost certainly lead to a reduction in the Scottish budget as a result of the Barnett formula. That is a deliberate choice that Scottish Labour MPs will be making if they support these cuts, and for which they must answer to their constituents. So can the Chancellor or the Minister tell them, this House, and indeed the nation, exactly how many millions they will be voting to take out of the pockets of disabled and vulnerable people in Scotland, many of whom voted for Labour almost a year ago?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One thing I can tell the Scottish people, Mr. Speaker, and indeed the House, is that it's this Labour government that's given the largest real terms increase in spending to the Scottish government since devolution began. Billions and billions of pounds of extra money going to the SNP in Holyrood in Scotland. On devolved matters, it's for the SNP to be accountable for the delivery of public services to people in Scotland, where they're failing on everything from the NHS to welfare and the economy.
Lloyd Hatton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the recent spending review, the Chancellor outlined plans for a multi-million-pound investment for essential building works at Budmouth Academy in Weymouth. We really welcome this new investment in our town for local schools, which will enable Budmouth to finally upgrade their school buildings. Looking ahead, will the Chancellor work with me to speedily deliver this new investment and ensure that Budmouth Academy gets the richly deserved upgrade as soon as possible?
I can't see it being relevant to the question, unfortunately. Bobby Dean.
Question number 2, please.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, HMRC uses a range of data sources to monitor the wealthy population. International exchanges of information, including Common Reporting Standard and Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act data, offer opportunities to develop deeper insight into the international financial affairs of some of the UK's wealthiest taxpayers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Minister will be no doubt aware of lots of reports of a so-called exodus of millionaires. These reports often quote high-profile individuals and city spokespeople, but there's rarely hard numbers behind these reports. And so I wanted to ask the Treasury whether they could verify Tax Justice Now's research that says that just 0.3% of millionaires have exited the UK, and that's remained low and stable over the last decade, and if they'll publish their own figures too.
Well, I thank the honourable gentleman for his question. And of course, when considering fiscal measures or financial changes, the figures that matter are those provided by the Office of Budget Responsibility. And the Office of Budget Responsibility has certified that the non-dom reforms the government have implemented will raise £33.8 billion in total revenue, and that figure accounts for some non-doms who are ineligible for the new regime choosing to leave the UK.
Mr. Speaker, look, public investment makes us all more prosperous, but clearly that public investment needs to be paid for. Investment in our roads, in our rail, and indeed our energy infrastructure as well. Could the Minister set out how we are funding that public investment by taxing the very richest people in this country?
Well, Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend is absolutely correct that the changes we've made to the non-dom reform regime are essential to raise billions of pounds to support the public finances and get our public services back on their feet. And I contrast it, Mr. Speaker, with some of the proposals put out by parties opposite. Indeed, Reform UK's plans are a tax cut for foreign billionaires.
Mark Garnier, Shadow Minister.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Speaker. So in a budget last year, as we've been talking about, the Chancellor tucked away around £10 billion over the next couple of years from reforms to the non-dom tax regime. The OBR, I think it's important to remember, said in its fiscal outlook that this figure was highly uncertain. And a high-level survey by Oxford Economics found that fully two-thirds of non-doms are considering leaving the country in the next couple of years as a direct result of these policies. That implies not an increase of £10 billion, but a decrease of £8 billion. The Chancellor has created a fiscal black hole of £18 billion with just one policy alone. So, Mr. Speaker, in this week of heroic U-turns from the front bench opposite, can the Chancellor of the Exchequer confirm if she will be axing this tax and when she'll finally condemn it to the history book?
That's astonishing.
Mr. Speaker, I wasn't really sure if there was a policy suggestion in that comment or not, but as he'll know, the fiscal black hole that we had to address when we won the general election was the £22 billion black hole that they left after their mismanagement of the economy. And as I said, Mr. Speaker, the Office of Budget Responsibility have confirmed that our reforms to the non-dom regime, our removal of non-dom tax status, will raise £33.8 billion over the 5-year forecast. And it is the OBR's figures which we will trust in that regard.
Rachel Muskell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Number 3, please.
Chancellor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Government is committed to ensuring that there are fewer sick and disabled people in poverty by helping them into work and getting them off NHS waiting lists. That is why, at the Spring Statement, we announced the largest investment in employment support in at least a generation. The Government has already taken action to tackle poverty, including with the fair repayment rate, which lowers the cap on deductions in universal credit. And we've increased the national living wage by 6.7%. Beyond this, we're investing to reduce poverty by expanding free school meals, investing in £1 billion settlement for crisis support, and we'll be setting out our child poverty strategy in the autumn. We've invested £29 billion in reducing NHS waiting lists, and since taking office, there are 385,000 more people in work.
Rachel Muskell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Many disabled people are really struggling right now. We know that 3 in 10 are living in poverty, as I can see in my constituency of York. But I was particularly taken aback by the Women Budget Group report, which highlighted that 3/4 of people that are going to lose their PIP and carers allowance are women. So how will she ensure that when fiscal decisions are made, that we look particularly at the intersectionality between women, disabled people and other protected characteristics to ensure that they're not pushed further into poverty?
I thank my honourable friend for that question, and she will know that nobody who's currently receiving personal independence payments will see any reduction in the support that they get. And in terms of supporting women into work and recognising some of those intersectionalities that my honourable friend mentions, this government have increased the national living wage by 6.7%, and sadly it is still too often women who are paid the lowest wages. Our employment rights bill will offer more security and dignity in work. We're rolling out more childcare, including new nurseries at primary schools. And today, my right honourable friend, the Business and Trade Secretary, will be making a statement announcing the launch into a review on parental leave, something that could be beneficial to all parents, all working parents, but particularly for mums.
Tim Farrell.
Mr. Speaker, does the Chancellor accept that cancer is a major driver of poverty? Not only, of course, people who are ill not being able to work during their treatment, but sometimes people who are happily cured find